Welcome to the Fire Health and Safety Virtual In-Service. During this in-service, we will go over what a fire health and safety inspection actually is. We will also give some tips on what to look for when completing inspections. A fire health and safety inspection is a simple visual inspection of the residential spaces on our campus. These inspections are meant for us to put our eyes in each room and make sure that prohibited items are not present. The explanation of why each item is on this list is lengthy, so we have broken it down, just so you can have a quick and easy way to learn it. We do not allow animals, especially bears, in our residential spaces. The exceptions to this rule are non-carnivorous fish in a 10-gallon tank or an approved emotional support animal. Refrigerators the size of the ones in our homes are not allowed in our residential spaces. Students should have mini fridges like the ones found at Walmart in the college section. Large industrial microwaves with a wattage over 1,000 watts are also prohibited. Microwaves like the ones found in Target, Walmart, or similar stores are allowed in our residential spaces as long as they are under 1,000 watts. When in doubt, the microwave should not look like it could cook a whole turkey. We have air conditioning in all of our residential spaces. Students are not allowed to have window AC units or portable AC units in their room. In each of these cases, the prohibited version of the device would put too great of a strain on our building's electrical system and cause circuit breakers to trip and pose a safety hazard to our residents. Since we just spoke about the AC units in our buildings, let us also explain that covering these units is prohibited as well. Vents on these units need to have airflow to function properly. When the heat is activated, we do not want any issues with items getting too hot and potentially causing fires. Our residents sometimes find themselves in possession of property that does not belong to them. Unauthorized possession of any federal, state, or university property, which is included but not limited to metal road signs, lounge furniture from our residential spaces, and any of the colorful plates, cups, and bowls from the dining hall, are prohibited. For our purposes, road signs are actual signs taken from the street, not signs that are personalized and bought online or in a store. Please look out for the dining hall utensils, plates, cups, and bowls, as well as the residence hall lounge furniture when completing fire health and safety inspections. As much as we all love the Food Network, we simply cannot have the same appliances in our units. Items such as George Foreman grills, toasters, deep fryers, and melted chocolate fountains are examples of prohibited items in our main campus residential spaces. Our apartment communities have the luxury of allowing some of these items, such as the George Foreman grills. Please refer to the comprehensive list of prohibited and allowed items in the apartment communities and on main campus, which can be found in this Canvas module. Our residents need all of the electrical sockets they can get to charge their devices. A lot of residents will attempt to use extension cords to grant easier access to these electrical sockets, or plug in an outlet adapter to increase the number of items that can be plugged in. Due to fire safety concerns, extension cords and outlet adapters are prohibited. Instead, residents can have power strips with an on-off switch. These power strips cannot be plugged into another power strip to make a longer power strip. This process is called daisy chaining and causes a fire safety concern. Pro tip number 1. Lowe's in Farmville and Amazon.com sell approved power strips with long cords. Have your residents look into them if they find themselves in need of a longer power strip. Privacy is always a concern of our residents. With this being said, the university has locks on all of the doors that should have them. Residents are not allowed to install their own locks on any door. This does not prohibit the use of personal locks on the closets in the suites and the high-rises, or on any personal belongings a resident may have, such as a chest. When speaking about installing personal items, we also need to touch base on certain items that residents like to tamper with. For safety and security purposes, all peepholes and room numbers and labels, such as the A label on a door in the apartments, or the room number label on a room on main campus, need to be properly maintained. Residents cannot remove these items or tamper with them. If the item is damaged or not functioning in its intended capacity, make sure a work order is placed to correct the issue. The pretty white circles in the ceilings of our units actually serve a purpose: saving lives. They cannot function in their intended manner if students have tampered with them in any way. You might find a smoke detector with a bag or shower cap placed over it, or it could be removed from the ceiling altogether. In either case, the smoke detector needs to be free from items and in its proper location so it can detect when someone cooks Easy Mac without water and burns the plastic container it is in. Everyone likes to make their room into more of a home than 4 walls with some furniture in it. We encourage residents to express themselves creatively when decorating their rooms, but there are limits. In our residential spaces, only 10% of the wall can be covered. Having a few items on the wall is fine, but when you cannot visually see the wall because of the items on it, we have a fire safety issue. An exception to this rule are items that are behind glass frames, such as a framed diploma or picture, as well as items that are marked as fire retardant. These items do not count towards the 10% rule. As a side note, please refer to the picture of the residence hall door on the screen. Doors in our residential spaces also have the 10% rule applied to them. Converting a door into a giant gift for the holidays is not allowed for fire safety purposes. Lighting is provided in all of our residential spaces, yet students always feel the need to add string lights to brighten up the atmosphere. This is a wonderful thought as long as there are not more than 3 strands hooked together and the lights are flush against the wall. The string lights should not resemble power lines draping from wall to wall. Also, string lights should not be wrapped or attached to the door frame in a residential space. Ceilings are also places that students want to decorate, and for some reason they like to hang items from sprinkler heads as well. As ingenious as these hanging items are, they are not allowed and pose a safety hazard to our students. Nature is a wonderful thing, but it belongs in nature, not in our residential spaces. Fresh-cut greenery, such as a tree for the holidays, or large plants are not allowed. These pieces of nature are easy to catch on fire in the case of a fire emergency. Exceptions to this rule are small potted plants. Essentially, we don't want full-size trees in our spaces, but small plants are allowed. Ceiling tiles are meant to hide all of the pipes and wires from our residents and need to be in their proper place to function. Pro tip number 2, if a ceiling tile is out of place, a resident might be hiding something in the ceiling. In the event of a fire or other emergency, residents need to be able to leave their unit and arrive at a safe location in a swift manner. This is impossible to do when items obstruct their exit from a room. Also, if it appears that an episode of Hoarders could be filmed in the unit, a violation has occurred. Halogen bulbs are a thing of the past. We no longer need to shake the bulbs to make sure they are truly not working. Fluorescent bulbs are allowed in lamps in our residential spaces, and our residents sometimes bring these lamps to campus. Also, students should not be replacing the bulbs in their rooms. Work orders can be placed to replace bulbs when they cease to function. As exciting as it sounds to make your own loft or bunk bed just like in the movie Step Brothers, we all know how that scene eventually ends. With that being said, lofts are provided by Longwood's third-party vendor Timber Nest and are approved to be in our residential spaces. Residents may bunk their beds, but only if they use the university-provided bunking pins. Work with your REC if you need to find said pins for your residents. Some residents will bring their own homemade lofts to campus, and while we enjoy this creativity, these lofts need to be approved by RCL and the Office of Environmental Health and Safety to ensure they are safe to use in our residential spaces. When talking about space in our residential units, furniture is provided by the university for students to use. If a room has extra pieces of university furniture, such as an extra mattress or dresser, the items need to be returned from wherever they came from. Sometimes our students feel the need to change the ambiance of their space by lighting candles. As great as this sounds, or smells in this matter, they are prohibited for fire safety reasons. If you come across a candle, it is a violation, even if it has never been lit. Students are more than welcome to use electric candles if they want to add flair to their space. Pro tip number 3. Incense is also prohibited. Essentially, if you need to light it on fire for it to work, we cannot have it in our spaces. During fire health and safety inspections, you very well could come across alcohol, drugs, or weapons. In the case of alcohol, it is prohibited in dry residential spaces, as well as any space where the occupants are not 21 years of age. If drugs and/or weapons are found, LUPD and the REC on call need to be notified immediately. Pro tip number 4. If a student is under 21, alcohol bottles cannot be used for display purposes, otherwise known as trophy bottles. If someone is of age, they are allowed to have trophy bottles in their unit. The following tips are reminders for you when completing a fire health and safety inspection. Always complete fire health and safety inspections with an RA partner. Notify your residents a minimum of 48 hours before your inspections take place. Notification should be placed on your hall a week before inspections start, and these inspection notification flyers can be found in this module as well as provided by your REC. Please remember to schedule at least 3 inspection dates for yourself. You have to schedule an initial inspection date to complete inspections and notify your entire hall that you will start on this date. You need to schedule a makeup inspection for residents that are not present during the first inspection 24 hours after the original inspection. An inspection needs to occur 48 hours after a room or unit has failed an inspection. RAs are permitted to key into residential spaces with a partner on the makeup inspection date, not before. And as a reminder, on your initial inspection date, if a resident of the unit is not present, you cannot go into that room. If a resident is with you in the unit and a violation can be corrected in front of you, allow them to do so and do not document it. If a resident is not present or if the violation is not correctable, document the violation. If the resident is not present and a violation occurs, please leave the yellow sheets to notify them. An example of these sheets are located in the module and will be provided for you by your REC. If a severe violation occurs, please contact LUPD and the REC on call as appropriate. Examples of these violations are drugs and weapons. This is the end of the Fire Health and Safety Virtual In-Service. Please refer to the next video in the module to learn how to complete inspections in Mercury.